Let's get started with number 40.
Well, thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home.
Axl Rose always had an appetite for kicking ass, but one night that appetite got out of hand.
Guns N' Roses was playing a show in St. Louis in 1991, and halfway through their show, Axl Rose spots somebody videotaping the show.
Hey, take that. Now, get that guy and take that.
The security guards are not doing their job, so Axl does their job for them.
I'll take it, damn it.
He kind of leapt off of the stage and grabbed the camera and basically assaulted this fan.
Thanks to the lame-ass security, I'm going home.
Axl stomped off stage and didn't return. So the angry crowd went nuts, trashing both the venue and the band's gear.
They stormed the stage, tore down speakers, the screens are down.
Welcome to the jungle, Axl!
By the end of the riot, the stage was destroyed, and over 60 concert-goers and 15 cops were injured.
Maybe I could have handled it better or whatever, but no one was really handling anything at that point.
Axl was arrested for attacking the fan and eventually got off with 2 years probation and a $50,000 donation to charity. The fan himself sued as well, ultimately settling for a few bucks and an autograph.
People paid good money to see a show, and then they only saw like 2 or 3 numbers. However, that is like the best Guns N' Roses show ever to say that you were at.
After wrapping a free concert in South Carolina in September 2008, Blink-182 drummer Travis Barker and his pal DJ AM, a.k.a. Adam Goldstein, boarded a small jet to fly home to California. Then, during takeoff, the unthinkable happened.
Authorities say that a private jet carrying Travis, AM, and 4 others crashed during takeoff, skidding off the end of the runway and crashing into an embankment, catching fire on impact.
The plane's pilot and co-pilot were killed, along with Barker's assistant Chris Baker and security guard Charles Still. But Travis and AM miraculously survived. Reportedly, they escaped onto the jet's wing, even though their clothes had ignited.
They come out of the airplane, they realize we're alive, and they're both on fire.
Both men remain in critical but stable condition. AM is reportedly in a doctor-induced coma as he undergoes skin graft surgery.
Despite the bleak prognosis, the guys pulled through and made their first public appearances a few weeks later.
What was it like sitting down on the kit for the first time after the accident?
It was really exciting to know, like, I still had my chops, I still felt good, everything felt right, so I'm thankful to be able to play.
In the months following the crash, Travis and Adam appeared to be recovering, but privately, Goldstein struggled with depression and long-standing drug addiction, a problem possibly made worse by painkillers he was taking for injuries sustained in the crash. Then on August 28, 2009, Goldstein was found dead in his New York apartment from an accidental drug overdose. Just days before his death, he had finished shooting an MTV reality show called Gone Too Far, where he tried to persuade young drug addicts to get treatment.
That he survived that crash in the first place was a miracle. And then to survive it and less than a year later die of an overdose, it's tragic and really sad.
Though he's been dead more than 30 years, Who drummer Keith Moon is still regarded as one of rock's foremost hedonists. And back in 1973, his excess gave one fan the night of his life.
Keith Moon was the ultimate rock star and the ultimate train wreck because he did everything to the extreme, to excess.
The Who was playing a set at San Francisco's Cow Palace in November of '73, when moments into Won't Get Fooled Again, Keith straight up blacked out. Why? Horse tranquilizers.
Apparently, before the show started, Keith Moon had taken some horse tranquilizers given to him by a fan and washed it down with a bunch of brandy. Allegedly, he was heard to remark, "Of course I can take it. I'm Keith Moon."
We went backstage just to make sure that he wasn't dead. And in fact, I think he did look dead, but we decided to go on anyway.
Roadies managed to revive Moon and got him back on stage. Until he passed out again. And that's when the band looked to the audience for help.
Just said, is there a drummer in the audience? And a queue of drummers formed up at the entrance to the stage, and we chose one.
19-year-old Scott Halpin stepped up and filled Mooney's seat for 3 songs.
What do you bet there's a drummer out there who loves Keith, knows every song, and will get up here and kick ass? And somebody did.
In the end, The Who finished the show without further incident. Keith recovered at a nearby hospital, and Scott Halpin had the story of a lifetime.
Oh, that's a big deal, actually. Playing in front of them people and playing a bunch of Who songs with The Who. Pretty cool. In fact, they should have charged him.
Back in the day, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson was an ex-drug dealer trying to get his rap career off the ground. But on May 24th, 2000, his gangsta life finally caught up with him.
Go, shorty, it's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday.
50 was sitting in a car by his grandmother's house in Queens, New York, when an unknown man approached and fired several rounds at close range. 50 Cent was hit 9 times.
I was in the rearview mirror like, oh, somebody shot me in my face. I was scared the whole time.
For anybody to get shot 9 times and survive, that's legend in itself.
The MC was hospitalized for 13 days with wounds to his right hand, left cheek, and both legs.
I got shot in the thumb. It came from my thumb and then came out my pinky. My legs a bunch of times, shot in the face.
The injuries to 50's face included a swollen tongue and shattered jaw, which changed the way he spoke and rapped.
Being shot has helped his rap style to some extent because he's got a slurring cadence, which is a kind of oral testament to the struggle he's been through.
The alleged gunman was murdered a few weeks later. 50, however, came roaring back. In 2003, 50's major label debut, Get Rich or Die Tryin', went multi-platinum, largely due to the hype surrounding his story.
He sold millions and millions of records, which then, amazingly, made every other MC want to get shot so they could sell a bunch of records.
Hell yeah.
This next one at number 36 proves that no one can bring the crazy, hey, quite like the Godfather of Soul.
It started over a restroom and ended in a ditch 2 states away. For James Brown, September 24th, 1988 was pretty much the worst day ever.
Papa's got a brand new bag.
James's debacle began at an office building he owned in Augusta, Georgia. There, witnesses say the shotgun-wielding crooner accused someone of using his private bathroom without permission.
He's like, someone's been using my bathroom, and goes crazy.
Ben's from my toilet.
But I don't blame him for freaking out. You know, someone went in there, dropped a deuce in his bathroom. I'd go in there with a shotgun, too.
James fled the scene when cops arrived, which launched a high-speed chase between 2 states.
James Brown is the original O.J. Simpson.
You ain't gonna catch me. I'm James Brown, bitch.
He backed up, ran into one of the cars, ran into the other one. He backed up again, tried to run a couple of them over, and that's when they started shooting at him.
Yeah, well, the Godfather of Soul, you can shoot at him, but you can't stop him. That's the hardest working man in show business. Of course it's gonna take a dozen cops.
After cops shot out his truck's tires, Brown rode on the rims for several miles before slamming into a ditch. There, he was arrested and found with PCP.
Someone asked him, were you high?
Were you high?
High off of God.
I think by God, he just meant PCP. That's just the street name. Which is a little tricky, James Brown, but well played.
Eventually, James was convicted of aggravated assault along with failing to stop for a police officer and got slapped with 6 years, 6 months jail time.
They made an example out of James. James spent a few too many years in prison, if you ask me.
Happily, the singer was freed 3 years early under the condition that he stayed off the dust and was a little more generous with his bathroom.
Who else will, accuse strangers of using his bathroom, then take the cops on a 2-state chase? Only James Brown would do that.
Here's the deal. Everybody thinks that Björk is this wonderful little Icelandic pixie.
who has these wonderful musical skills. Have you ever seen one of her videos? That crazy.
Bjork put the bang in Bangkok back in February 1996 when she pulled into a Thai airport with 9-year-old son Sindri in tow. When reporter Julie Kaufman dared to get too close, she set the singer off with 3 simple words.
Welcome to Bangkok.
In Icelandic, welcome to Bangkok actually means go your mother.
It was like kickboxing almost. She was like cat fight full on.
Before the attack, you can see on Bjork's face, she's just frozen, just like, nobody better say welcome to Bangkok, I swear to God. Excuse me?
Welcome to Bangkok.
Later on, Bjork claimed she freaked in defense of her son, who was being hounded by aggressive paparazzi.
This energy just came out of me that I didn't even know I had. It was 3 males, grown-up males on my back, and I just threw them off, you know, and I was just ready to kill.
Stunningly, Kaufman refused to press charges after the offbeat pop star called up and apologized.
I just have some bruises. I have a tough head, you know.
Over-the-top outfits, hairdos, and the greatest sports anthem of all time were the type of things 70s glam star Gary Glitter became known for. But when cops found kiddie porn on Gary Glitter's computer in 1999, his career was officially over.
Veteran pop star Gary Glitter has been charged with 50 offenses relating to child pornography.
Gary Glitter was a big icon in the glam rock scene of the UK.
Gary Glitter leaving a police station in Bristol tonight after being questioned for more than 5 hours by detectives over allegations relating to child pornography.
He brought his computer in for repair, and somebody there actually found thousands of photos of child pornography on his computer.
And the children weren't only having sex, it was like looking at photos of abused children. So he's like, as far as the creep level goes, I don't know if there's any higher.
Glitter fessed up to 54 charges of downloading child porn and was sentenced to 4 months in jail, though he was released after only 2.
I deeply regret doing what I was sent to prison for. I've served my time. I want to put it all behind me and live my life.
After his release, Glitter moved to Cambodia in 2002, but was deported again. He went to Vietnam next, but got in trouble there too.
This is for committing obscene acts with underage girls. So, you know, basically it's the next step.
In August 2008, after serving 2+ years in a Vietnamese prison, Glitter was deported back to the UK.
How do you feel to be back in London, Mr. Glitter?
There, he's a registered sex offender and remains under strict surveillance.
Rock and roll is very, very forgiving, but I don't know if this is a forgivable offense. Lisa Left Eye Lopez, the woman who brought the rap and the attitude to TLC for more than a decade, lost her life in a car accident yesterday afternoon in the Central American nation of Honduras.
Don't go chasing waterfalls. Please stick to the rivers and the lakes that you're used to.
They were one of the best-selling pop groups of all time, but TLC couldn't have done it without their liveliest member, Lisa Left Eye Lopez. On break from recording TLC's 4th album, Lopez headed to Honduras for a spiritual retreat and charity mission.
I kind of feel like I'm on a journey sometimes. Don't really know quite where I'm headed.
On April 25th, 2002, Lisa was driving a rented SUV down a 2-lane road when the car skidded off and flipped several times.
A car was in front of us, and it just stopped. So she went to swerve out of the way of the car, and the SUV went out of control.
Lopez sustained massive head trauma, and of 8 passengers, was the only one who didn't survive. She was just 30 years old.
I cried all night long. You know, I was really hurt.
Still, no one was more devastated than the remaining members of TLC. 5 months after the accident, Chili and T-Boz appeared at the MTV Video Music Awards to honor their friend.
It's only 2 of us up here. And she's so missed.
Though their final album, 3D, came out after her death, TLC couldn't continue without Left Eye.
We couldn't believe people would ask us that. Are you guys going to replace Lisa? We would never do anything like that. It was never a consideration.
I mean, she was the spark of TLC. She gave TLC that fire, that personality. And to see her just taken away from us and taken away from the music industry was just so sad.
Here at number 32 is a little number 1.
Black Eyed Peas singer Fergie is well known for many things. Bladder control is not one of them. And during a San Diego show in summer 2005, she stained more than her reputation. According to concertgoers, the band showed up an hour late for their gig. With no time for a bathroom break, Fergie did what she had to do.
When I saw the pictures, I thought like she had like some camo pants on with the design in the ass. And the more I looked at it, I'm like, well, that's a weird design. Shake your face!
But first, I got aroused. And then I thought, this is disgusting.
The band's rep denied the story, claiming what looked like urine was really a sweat stain.
Wow, she's sweating a lot in her crotch area, isn't she? Oh, it's not sweat. Ooh. But on the other side, you gotta say, damn, you know what? She goes all out in concerts, so she lets it all hang out.
But in 2007, Fergie finally came clean. During an interview with Blender magazine, she fessed up to letting loose, saying, quote, "It was horrible, but whatever, it happened."
Everybody pees, so whatever.
Even Fergie.
As long as she doesn't pee on me.
Oh, I would definitely let Fergie pee on me. Absolutely.
No stranger to controversy, Queen's rap virtuoso Nas sparked a fevered debate in October 2007 when he announced the title of his next album. Simply, it was the N-word.
And of course, NAS are the letters that spell.
Nas wanted to release an album called Nigger, and everybody freaked out.
I mean, when I first heard about it, I was like, what's so bad about naming an album N-I****ER? Oh, I get it now. Oh, that's bad.
Yo, they probably won't air this, but y'all gotta realize that the producer, he's very white and I'm very black, so I wanna see if he says it. What's the name of that album? No.
All I need is one mic.
For me, it was like, maybe it's a publicity stunt.
What kind of message are you hoping to send?
It's all the experiences we go through every day of all ethnicities, black, white, and different.
The title enraged left and right wingers. Fox News, Jesse Jackson, and Al Sharpton condemned it.
I'm opposed to anybody using the term. We do not need to be degrading ourselves. They're getting degraded enough. And I think that we need artists to lift us up, not help lock us down.
Some retail outlets threatened not to carry the CD under its original name, and under mounting pressure, Nas left it untitled. It was released in July 2008 and debuted at #1.
Nas is probably one of the most brilliant minds out there. So God bless him for, working his marketing hustle with great ability.
It was one of the most buzzed about events in celebrity history. The late Michael Jackson was again accused of sexually abusing a child in 2003, and this time it was going to trial.
If you remember the first time that the accusations came out, he was able to pay off the alleged victim, and that disappeared. This time you had a prosecutor who said, I'm going forward and I'm going to lock this guy up.
Michael's innocent. He's beautiful and he's innocent.
California prosecutors brought Jackson up on several counts of molestation, with an arraignment scheduled for January 2004. Jackson pled not guilty and greeted his adoring fans the only way he knew how.
Adding to the circus-like atmosphere, after his arraignment, Jackson first slipped, then jumped on top of his vehicle.
He was oftentimes claimed to be too sick to show up in court. Once he showed up in his pajamas.
The self-proclaimed king of pop finally arrived dressed in pajama bottoms and a t-shirt, complaining of a back problem.
After 6 months of insanity, the jury reached a verdict.
We, the jury, in the above entitled case, find the defendant not guilty.
Jackson was acquitted on all counts charged against him, much to the delight of his fans.
It's the best of my life!
One woman who had doves, and every time one of the charges was dropped against Michael, she would release a dove for Michael's freedom.
The trial was so bizarre. Even Barnum and Bailey was like, now that's a circus.
At the height of Beatlemania, John, Paul, George, and Ringo could do no wrong. Then in 1966, Lennon told a UK newspaper the band was bigger than Jesus.
I just said what I said and it was wrong or was taken wrong, and now it's all this.
Wow. That takes balls. Like, John Lennon is like, doesn't give a.
Now it seems a little more harmless, you know, but 45 years ago, yeah, that was gonna piss some people off, you know what I mean?
Though the UK press ignored it, Lennon's quote was later printed out of context in Teen Beat magazine, and 2 US DJs jumped on the story.
And I said, that does it for me. We're not gonna play his records anymore. It was just an offhand comment that we made for a joke.
To some, it was no joke. Radio stations around the US banned the Beatles from the air and asked fans to destroy their albums and memorabilia.
Our fantastic Beatle boycott is still in effect. Don't you forget what the Beatles have said.
Don't forget to take your Beatle records and your Beatle paraphernalia to any one of our 14 pickup points.
At a Chicago press conference later that year, Lennon apologized and explained his comments.
I was just saying we meant more to kids than Jesus did, or religion at that time. I wasn't knocking it or putting it down, I was just saying it as a fact. Saying that we're better or greater, or comparing us with Jesus Christ as a person, or God as a thing, or whatever it is. You know, I just said what I said and it was wrong, or was taken wrong.
Fans forgave John, and in 2008, 42 years later, the Vatican officially did too. At his peak, Elvis Presley was the clear king of rock and roll. A music genius, a sex god, and a true American idol. But in the 70s, everything changed.
Young Elvis was svelte, energized. He just embodied rock and roll perfection. Old Elvis past his prime, and rock and roll excess gone completely wrong.
He looked tired and puffy and just lackluster. It was very hurtful to watch how he went downhill. He just plummeted.
In August 1977, Elvis was nervous about an upcoming tour and depressed over a tell-all book that accused him of excessive drug use. Around 4:30 in the morning on the 16th, unable to sleep, he rehearsed new songs and played some racquetball. An hour later, he bid girlfriend Ginger Alden goodnight and went into his bathroom. It was the last time anyone would see Elvis alive.
Elvis Presley died today. He was 42. Apparently, it was a heart attack. His doctor pronounced him dead at 3 o'clock this afternoon.
Nearly 100,000 fans converged on Graceland for the viewing and funeral.
So many people just lining the streets at the length of the highway. It was very moving, very touching.
I remember my mother crying that the king was dead. To this day, I remember it.
At first, the king's death was blamed on heart failure, but an eventual autopsy showed massive amounts of sedatives, painkillers, and other drugs in his body.
People don't like to remember Elvis just before he died. Obviously, that's all part of his legacy, but what stands head and shoulders above everything is obviously the impact he made on music.
From the silly to the bizarre to the downright creepy, it's the 100 most shocking music moments. Here's our next one.
I gotta testify. Nobody disrupts an award show quite like Kanye West. For years, he's used the events to tell the world whatever's on his mind.
I finally got a word I can put in my bathroom. Thank you.
But he saved his most infamous show outburst for the 2009 VMAs.
For the day I die, I'ma touch the sky.
The night's first trophy went to Taylor Swift for the Best Female Video.
Moon Man goes to Taylor Swift.
Yeah, lovely Taylor Swift winning her first VMA.
Thank you so much.
And Kanye just comes up and just goes, nope.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
Did you see Beyonce? Beyonce had a look on her face like, could you get this? And then the crowd boos him and he walks off stage. And you're like, what the hell just happened?
I would like to thank the fans and MTV. Thank you.
Later in the show, Beyonce won the award for Video of the Year and tried to make things right by inviting Taylor on stage.
Maybe we could try this again?
Kanye apologized for the episode, but the damage was done.
The backlash was enormous. Even the president weighed in saying Kanye West is a jackass.
If the president of the U.S. calls you a jackass, that's on your record for life.
Thank God for Kanye. This is what I want my rock stars to do. I don't want them to steal awards from cute, country stars, but I do want them to say outrageous things and give us things to talk about.
Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
Funk legend Rick James always liked kinky sex and hard drugs. But in 1991, he got a little too freaky and ended up with a 5-year prison sentence.
She's a super freak, she's super freaking now.
After making a ton of money in the 80s, Rick really started living it up in the 90s, blowing over $400,000 a year on coke.
Rick James, Slick Rick, was the man. The epitome of the pimping game. But might have went a little far. Coke ruined me. Coke kicked my ass big time. Coke beat me down like it was as if he was Mike Tyson.
In August of '91, a strung-out Rick and his girlfriend, Tanya Hiyazi, invited a woman to his Hollywood Hills home for some serious partying.
Girl was a crack smoker. I think we had sex the first hour she was there.
3 days later, the woman emerged and alleged the pair held her hostage, forced her to perform sex acts, and burned her with a crack pipe. Rick was arrested but denied all charges.
This is all fabricated lies. And I'd just like to thank the people who are behind me.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Rick James, guilty of the crime of assault, great bodily injury, and with deadly weapon.
Rick was found guilty of 3 charges but was cleared of torture with the crack pipe. Sentenced to 5 years plus in prison, he was released after just 2. When Rick was set free in 1996, he seemed like a changed man. Sadly, he died of a heart attack 8 years later at age 56.
He was known to live a hard and heavy lifestyle, and he went out the way he came in.
Southern rockers Lynyrd Skynyrd embarked on the biggest tour of their career in 1977.
What is it you want to hear?
Then, one fall night, their promising future came to an end.
If I leave here tomorrow.
On the evening of October 20th, Skynyrd and crew prepared to board their twin-engine plane in Greenville, South Carolina, en route to the next gig. The pilot had discovered some engine trouble, but assured the passengers it was safe to get on.
Alan didn't want to because the plane had been sputtering and one engine was bad, and Ronnie just went, oh, if it's your time to go, it's your time, let's go.
After a lengthy wait on the runway, the plane finally took off.
About 3/4 of the way through the flight, this fire's coming out of the right engine, which scared everybody to death right then and there.
I could see in the pilot and co-pilot there was fear. And I asked him if the plane would fly on one engine, and he said, go back and strap yourself in.
The prop started feathering, and it got real quiet, and all we heard was air, wind. I was just watching the pine trees get bigger and bigger, and then all of a sudden the initial impact was very violent, very sudden. And the tail section broke off, the cockpit buckled underneath, broke off, both wings broke off.
Out of the 26 on board, 6 died on impact, including the 2 pilots, road manager Dean Kilpatrick, and band members Steve Gaines, Cassie Gaines, and singer Ronnie Van Zant. But those who survived were left stranded in the swampy woods of Gillsburg, Mississippi, where the plane had crashed.
I was hurt real bad and broke all my bones and was laying there.
And then Artemis Pyle ran through the woods with his ribs sticking out of his chest.
And it didn't seem like anybody was going to be able to go for help but me, so that's what I did.
A faulty right engine and apparent fuel exhaustion was later determined as the cause of the fatal crash. The remaining members of Skynyrd reunited in 1987, with Ronnie's younger brother Johnny Van Zant at lead vocals. Today, most of the original lineup has passed away. However, the band continues on with founding guitarist Gary Rossington.
While I'm not looking forward to being incarcerated, I am looking forward to putting this whole ordeal behind me.
Atlanta rapper T.I., a.k.a. Clifford Harris Jr., was a convicted felon whose street cred helped him become the self-proclaimed king of the South. So it wasn't exactly surprising when he scored a whopping 9 nominations at the BET Hip Hop Awards in October 2007. What was surprising, T.I. never made it to the ceremony.
ATF agents arrested Clifford Harris Jr., also known as T.I. Investigators found guns inside T.I.'s car and in his home.
The rapper had arranged to pick up 3 machine guns with silencers in a shopping center parking lot from his bodyguard, a bodyguard who turned out to be cooperating with the feds.
And next thing you know, sirens flashing, cops pull up, you're busted.
The last place a machine gun or silencer should be is in the hands of a convicted felon.
And that's not the only heavy artillery ATF agents found in T.I.'s possession.
They searched his car and found 3 more weapons, and they searched his home and found 6 more weapons.
That's a lot of guns. I'll tell you that much.
T.I. pleaded guilty to weapons charges and got off with only a year and a day in federal prison, thanks to 1,000 hours of community service he performed with at-risk kids. His efforts even inspired an MTV series called T.I.'s Road to Redemption, which chronicled his attempt to make amends in the months leading up to his jail sentence.
He told the kids that, hey, it's not cool to have guns, it's not cool to get in trouble.
I realize I have a very long road of redemption to travel, and I intend to do just that.
This next shocking music moment is particularly compelling to me because it involves 2 things I'm very familiar with: body slamming and pretzels. Here's number 23.
Don't you hate it when kids start throwing food around? Akon does. Just ask the 15-year-old fan who lobbed a pretzel at the R&B singer in 2007.
If you were brighter, oh yes, a soul survivor.
Akon was performing at an outdoor concert in upstate New York when the show was interrupted.
Akon is performing, you know, he's doing what he does.
A fan tosses up what appears to be like a pretzel or something on the stage while Akon is talking about Africa.
He didn't know who did it, so he basically recruited the rest of the audience to finger point.
Point him out. Point him out. Yeah, go get him.
They bring the kid up to the stage, and Akon, being a gentleman, helped the kid up on the stage with him.
What ensued is just craziness.
The entire crowd just parted and was like, thump. That kid dropped like a bag of potatoes.
Now we can start the show, y'all with me? Akon, what is going on?
If you throw a soft pretzel at me, I will body slam you into a throng of my adoring fans. It's how I roll.
Though the 15-year-old boy was unhurt, police eventually pressed criminal charges against the star. In a December 2008 deal, Akon pled guilty to harassing the teen and was given 65 hours of community service and a $250 fine.
Come on, like, you can't throw kids into the audience. It's just the facts.
I'm sorry, I was a hater.
It was supposed to be Woodstock West, but instead of peace, love, and music, the Rolling Stones' 1969 concert at Altamont Speedway ended in tragedy.
The location is not Golden Gate Park, unfortunately, but it's somewhere adjacent to it, which is a bit larger.
Poor planning meant there were less than 24 hours to throw everything together, resulting in the Hells Angels being booked as security.
The Rolling Stones had just done a free concert in Hyde Park, and they'd hired the Hells Angels as security. Now, UK Hells Angels aren't like American Hells Angels. The Hells Angels in California are altogether a little tougher. It was not a good decision.
To compound that, they had paid them in cases of beer.
The day got off to a violent start. The Hells Angels beat up Jefferson Airplane's Marty Balin and freaked out the Grateful Dead so much the band left before their set.
There was a really evil atmosphere, and it was fed by the Hells Angels, and they all brandished sawn-off pool cues.
Things worsened as night fell, and the headlining Stones took the stage.
Come on now. That means everybody just blew out.
In the middle of their set, things built to a climax. A young black man named Meredith Hunter, pulled out what turned out to be a gun, and the Angels just sat on him, pummeled him, stabbed him, and killed him.
The body of Meredith Hunter was airlifted from the site, and the Stones finished the show unaware of the killing. Hells Angel Alan Pizarro was tried for the murder, but was acquitted on self-defense.
That became the moment that everybody looks at as the end of the 60s hippie dream.
It proves why you should never give thousands of drunken baseball fans the chance to express their feelings about disco. Never!
For some, disco music was all about having a good time. For others, it was reason to riot.
I heard somebody say,
By 1979, Chicago rock DJ Steve Dahl was done with disco. So he did what any good music fan would do. He staged a demolition rally to blow up disco records during a White Sox game at Comiskey Park.
Mike Veeck, the son of the owner of the White Sox at the time, came to the station and said, let's do a disco demolition. We could have people bring a disco record. If they bring a disco record, they get in for 98 cents.
I thought it was the funniest thing. I bought into it in a New York minute. I love cheap theatrics.
Quite frankly, I thought it was going to be a bust.
will you please welcome the Supreme Commander, Steve Dahl!
Oh, it was far from a bust. Though organizers expected 20,000 people, 75,000 showed up, and they came ready to raise hell.
Do you think I dance? Because I know the dance steps.
I mean, I was lucky enough to be there. There's records everywhere, and there's Steve Dahl fatigues. People are getting kind of weird. And then, boom, the records go up, and it's just mayhem.
Thousands of fans stormed the field, knocking over the batting cage and starting bonfires in the outfield.
Harry Carey, famous announcer trying to chill people out, started singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game.
With the crowd.
Just plain didn't work because people were in an anti-disco bloodlust.
Police and riot gear were called in to clear the field. When it was over, 39 were arrested and the White Sox forfeited the game.
I just love the idea that people were so fed up with chest hair and gold medallions and leisure suits that they stopped a baseball game from being played and rioted out of their hatred of disco.
4 hours down, 1 to go. The 20 most shocking music moments are on the way, folks.